I do want to welcome you. My name is Walter Johnson. I'm the Vice President for Institutional Advancement, and this is our first ever 5 under 5 recognition. And we're really excited about it because what we found through this process is that we have some young people who are already doing some incredibly dynamic things, and we thought this would be a great way to honor their progress to date. Don't you think? Absolutely. This was the brainchild. Okay, so when things go wrong, you blame me, okay? But when something goes really, really well, I want to make sure the right people get credit for it. This was the brainchild of a group of our team, Angela Bender, Julie Tui, who is our alumni engagement coordinator, and the event itself was coordinated by Rachel McKay, who also works in our department, and so I really appreciate the work that they put into this, but this was really their idea, and it was an easy one for me to embrace. Real quickly, you think about life in terms of, just follow me for a second, American football, okay? Played in 4 quarters. If you think about the fact that up until 25 years old, you're still in the first quarter. Think about that. You're in the first quarter. And I point that out because we have a group of people here who are in the first quarter and they're winning big. That's exciting. The fact that you have accomplished this much already and you're just in the first quarter. How exciting. Thank you for being here. Now, the team always writes stuff for me, and I never read it. And it drives them nuts. I'm just going to be honest with you. But they keep writing it because they think one day I'll actually read something they write for me. And I, as you can tell, I'm a lot off the cuff, but every once in a while, there's something that you need to read because it's important. And so I'm going to read this. When our interim president was introduced, she made some comments, and I'm going to read them. Higher education today is dynamic and competitive. College of DuPage deserves to have a leader who is going to champion everyone's efforts and move them forward. She goes on to say, during my time at COD, I will be fully invested in my work and I will bring my best self to COD every day. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what the future brings. You know, who knows? New president might come in and think, you know, Walter, you're great, but I want somebody else. What I'm excited about is that we have someone in the interim that made a definitive statement walking in the door, and in the time she's been here, she has shown that every day. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce our interim president, Dr. Christine Hammond.
Thank you, Walter, for those kind words. It's always nice to know when people pay attention to what you say. Or so I'm not sure what this means. I'm not in the 4th quarter yet, I'll just tell you that. I got a ways to go, yeah. It is a pleasure to be part of this inaugural event. You know, we have this campaign across campus. You have probably seen the flags, and it's the We See You campaign, because we want our students and our community members to know that we recognize who they are, we recognize their resilience, their determination, and we want them to be a part of our community, and we value those contributions. Today, we have the joy of not only seeing some of our recent graduates and from various departments and pathways, if you will, but celebrating them. Rima, Brian, Princess, Kaela, Sam, congratulations. you may not really realize the important role you play as role models for other people. You may not really realize what an inspiration you are to all of us and to those of us who are watching your achievements and thinking, yes, that's what COD is all about. So it gives me great pleasure to join with all these other folks as we celebrate your achievements today and recognize your accomplishments and just say, we're going to be watching you in the future because we know there's a lot more to come. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Hammond. So we've been really cultivating, reconnecting relationships with our alums. The comment that I make is that many times our alums will say to us, COD changed my life. It was the best time ever. I had some of my best professors. I met some of my best friends. It helped me find my direction. I mean, am I basically, okay, I don't want to take any of your speeches, but but that's what, no matter where I am in the country, we have 160,000 alum, and I have yet to run into one who hasn't made some definitive statement about faculty and their experience and their relationships here. And so I'm excited that we're able to do this because it's another message that we're sending to our alums that we appreciate you and we want you to be connected to us. And through that process, we now have our alumni network that we're developing. We have an executive committee that we've put together, and we have a board that we are developing. And I had an opportunity to sit down with our MC, who graduated from College of DuPage in 2012, and learn a little bit about him. Again, I'm way off script. They wrote all of this. I'm not reading it, okay? Because sometimes I think you can read off all of the impressive things a person has done, but if you know the backstory, the person becomes even more impressive. And I had the great fortune of sitting down with Adrian Ragosa, and he talked to me about his journey. This is a young man, yes, he's still young, too old to be 5 under 5, but he's still young, who graduated from College of DuPage in 2012. I would say prior to that, maybe wandered a little bit, decided to go into the military, found himself to be maybe even surprised, a really good leader, a great organizer, almost a logistics expert. Comes out of the military and still trying to figure out what's the next move, and he winds up going into private security, of all things, protecting a shuttered nuclear plant. Go figure, okay? So he's doing that, and it's all physical, and he's loving this stuff, and then that goes away, and he decides, okay, I got to figure out what the rest of my life is going to look like. Comes to COD, thinks he's going to go into law enforcement, okay? And along the way realizes before he can finish, he's got to take math and science. And he's avoiding this like the plague. I don't want to have anything to do with science. But he finally kind of guts it out, takes a biology course, and likes it. It's kind of like that whole Mikey thing, you know? I mean, not only likes it, he finds he's good at it, and he takes more science courses, so on and so forth. To make a long story short, Adrian is on his way to complete his doctorate degree in the next year. He is in a leadership role in the medical space and a proud alum, and we're excited to have him this morning as our MC. Ladies and gentlemen, College of DuPage alum, Adrian Ragosa.
Thank you, Walter. Wow, I didn't know you knew that much about me. I appreciate the kind words. You made me think about that and replay almost everything that you just said in my head. So I took courses in 2012. I didn't graduate. I actually dropped because I was still in the military at that time. and it was a little bit too much for me to handle at that time. So I came back in 2016 and then graduated in 2017. So yes, I'm a little bit expired when it comes to 5 under 5, but it wasn't that long ago, about 7 years. So it feels like just yesterday that I was walking the hallways here at College of DuPage, and I am very proud to be back here today, welcoming this next generation of leaders that are up and coming. And I think that it is an amazing thing to be part of this and to be asked to be part of this. So I thank you for having me here today, and I thank you all for being here today. So I think that we can go ahead and let's go ahead and give a round of applause to our panel here, our 5 under 5. And I think let's go ahead and get this award started. So to present our first 5 under 5 honoree, please welcome Connie Candidate Howard, who spent 34 years as a theater professor and 24 years as the managing artistic director of the Buffalo Theater Ensemble here at the College of DuPage. Welcome.
It is my great honor to introduce you to Rima Househ, one of my favorite former students and one of my favorite people. I'm tearing up. Rima graduated from College of DuPage in 2019 as one of that year's outstanding students. At College of DuPage, she was involved in the theater program in classes, in productions, and was invited to be an acting shadow with BTE. Rima then continued her education, graduating summa cum laude from Columbia College Chicago with a major in arts management, earning multiple competitive scholarships along the way. Currently, she works as the marketing and events coordinator at Carol Fox and Associates, where she manages the marketing for the MAC and organizes galas for some of the most prestigious organizations in the city. Her favorite thing is that she gets to work with the MAC, a place that once inspired her as a student. Rima Househ.
Say cheese. Congratulations, Rima. So amazing to have such amazing people here. All right, for our next awardee, we are honored to have Joe Oranke, Professor of Automotive Service Technology, here to introduce our second honoree. Come on over.
So not that there are bad students, but there certainly are good ones. After finishing high school, Brian came to appreciate the importance of receiving an education from a reputable institution. His research led him to choose COD despite having to pay out-of-district tuition because he lived in Chicago. He was here every day, on time, even with the commute. His natural talent, strong work ethic, and determination to succeed drove him to excel in our classes. After graduation, he got a job at Ally Financial, where he's rising through the ranks and now runs an 11-person team. He also continued his education and earned a bachelor's degree from SIU. Brian was part of the Latino outreach group that partnered with Project Excel, who provides scholarships of up to $3,000 to underprivileged high schoolers for college. There he was part of the scholarship review committee. He also volunteers at Feed My Starving Children to pack food for undeveloped countries. I recently met with Brian to catch up and learned he's engaged to the young lady he's been dating since high school, and they bought their first house in Montgomery. During the meeting, I also almost had him talked into teaching at nights with us. So all that being said, there is one problem with Brian. There is one bad thing, and that he's set the bar too high. because now if you want to take auto at COD, you have to do it the way Brian did. So it is my great honor to introduce to you COD graduate Brian Kavanaugh.
Amazing job. All right. Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much. All right, so we are going to move forward with our next honoree. And so though Assistant Professor of Mass Communication, Sandy Fries, cannot join us in person here today, she sent a very special video message for our next awardee. So we're going to see that video.
Hi, I'm Professor Sandy Fries. I'm a teacher here at the College of DuPage. It is my absolute honor to introduce Princess Siafa. She was a student of mine in journalism class, and she's gone on from College of DuPage to go to DePaul University, also to study journalism. She has a great, successful podcast that you might want to listen to. One of her main goals in life is to return to her home country of Liberia to become a news anchor. I can tell you many, many other things about Princess Siafa, but they limited me to just 1 minute. I would probably need about 20 minutes. One remaining thing I'll tell you about her is that she is probably the kindest and most happy human being I have ever met in my life. So without any further ado, Princess Siafa.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next awardee. Susan Fenwick, a STEM student success coach here at College of DuPage. She is committed to student success and has demonstrated by the accomplishments of our next honoree. Come on up.
Good morning. It is my honor to introduce Kaela Villafania. In the 4 years since Kaela left COD, she has earned her bachelor's and her master's degrees in physics from Northern Illinois University, received 2 National Science Foundation scholarships, and was selected for the Outstanding Master's Student Award by the NIU Physics Department. She has conducted research at NIU and at Argonne National Lab, where she focused on accelerator science and particle beam physics. This fall, she just began her PhD program in physics at Michigan State University, where she's now doing research at the Facility for Rare Isotope Beams. As you can see, Kaela is really making her mark in the world of physics and is very deserving of this award. I mean, if working on a superconducting electron gun can't get you an award, what will? But more than that, Kaela has worked immensely hard, overcame challenges, and always pushed herself to keep going. She's smart, determined, resourceful, kind, and an amazing role model. Don't let her humble personality fool you during the panel session. She is, in fact, amazing. Congratulations, Kaela.
All right. So now we are at our final honoree. Maureen Macbeth, professor of accountancy, will introduce today's 5th and final honoree. Come on up.
Thank you. All right, well, it is my great honor to introduce Sam Wilson, a truly exceptional individual. Sam first came to my office as a high school student from Wheaton Warrenville South, which I have a soft spot for because that's where my kids go, a little tiger over here. He was a senior in high school, eager to jumpstart on his college planning. I was blown away by this. This in itself was impressive. That day, we mapped out his classes all the way to graduation from College of DuPage. And even at that early stage, he seemed to know exactly where he was headed. His goal, he was going to graduate, transfer, earn an accounting degree, and ultimately work for Deloitte. It didn't have to be Deloitte, Sam, but for Sam, it was going to be Deloitte. I'm like, there are other firms. As Sam began his journey, the pandemic disrupted many of his plans. But this did not disrupt Sam. He stayed focused on his goals, stayed connected with us faculty, took virtual classes, participated in every opportunity he could. Before long, he was leading our accounting club virtually and literally. He led those virtual events, taking on leadership roles, and he even got involved in our virtual VITA program, our income tax preparation program. We were lucky to have him. As we transitioned back to in-person activities, so did Sam. It was a thrill to watch him now connect with fellow students, get accepted to the University of Illinois, now I'm crying, and even deliver the commencement speech after missing his high school graduation walk. That was a big deal. Sam's secret sauce has always been his willingness to share his ideas and his willingness to ask for advice. He always listened carefully and used the insights to figure out exactly where he wanted to go. Sam went on to achieve exactly what he initially set out to do, and you've only just begun. He studied accounting at the University of Illinois, landed that dream job at Deloitte, and along the way made some incredible friendships, which I see he stayed deeply connected to. He's also stayed deeply connected to our faculty, frequently checking in with us, sharing his successes, and still seeking advice. This connection has been vital not only to his own success, but to the success of many other students. Every December, he returns to help with our VITA program. He trains the new site assistants, as he was a site assistant once upon a time. He's built relationships with countless students and is always just a phone call or text away whenever I need help coaching a student or offering advice. Sometimes they can hear it better from him than me. Sam, you're incredibly special. I'm immensely proud of you, as you know. I admire your resilience, leadership. It's my absolute privilege to introduce you today. And just so you know, the best is yet to come. You really are in your first quarter.
Thank you. Such amazing words from such amazing people. And I think that all of our panelists here deserve another round of applause for all of their accomplishments, for being here today, and for inspiring so many people. We have to remember, College of DuPage is a community college. And what's a community? A community is an assortment of many towns, neighborhoods, diverse neighborhoods, different income levels, different journeys, different stories. All of them eventually float here, and this becomes their new story. So College of DuPage is where a lot of people come and they enter the first journey of their life. And I think when you take a look and you see what success looks like for the next level of those that enter through those doors, you have a chance to see what the world can look like in the future. Take a look at these titles here: marketing events, operations supervisor, journalist, not just in the United States, but around the globe. Accounting, tax, I need to talk to you later. Physics professional. We're gonna have remarkable people that continue to walk through the doors at College of DuPage, and that's gonna continue going. But I think the important thing is to recognize who we have here today, our students that we have here today, they all come from a journey. They all have a story to tell. And some of them may come in and they may not come back. Some of them may come back later. I did that. I came, I left, but then I came back. Some of them may come in and they may see their entire journey through. Some of them may come in and then they go right into the workforce afterwards. Some of them may come in and they go on to bigger universities afterwards, and they may follow bigger dreams afterwards. Their dreams may morph. But a lot of it starts right here in these hallways, in these classrooms. And it's not just what they learn in the classrooms. I think that's a big part of it, but it's not everything. What our students are learning is beyond the classrooms. It's the relationships they build. It's how they lean on each other during tough times. It's how they have a chance to work with each other and how they progress in their own careers and their own journeys. And I know, because I've been in their shoes, I'm still in their shoes, I'm a student as well. But I know for a fact that it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort to keep going, to keep thriving, and to not quit, to have that resilience. And there's something remarkable that could be learned from each and every individual that's sitting here. These 5 all have a story. These 5 know what it took to get here today. 5 under 5, that's a big deal, because that's less than 5 years. You've accomplished so much. That is a lot of work to do. That's a lot of dedication. That means that you showed up every day and you didn't quit. Or if you did quit, nobody knew about it because you came back. I think I quit school after every semester, but I always came back. I think that's why it's important as we move into the next part of our discussion right here. I would like to ask our panelists a few questions. I would like to ask them for advice and to consider these answers for our audience, especially for College of DuPage students and all students that are going to go through their own journeys or that are going through their own journeys and prepared to step forward to the next part of their journeys. So let's go ahead and let's ask a few questions, and let's go ahead and get this started. So our first question for the panel: what skills or lessons from your time at College of DuPage do you still rely on in your education or in your professional life? Go ahead.
All right, so at College of DuPage, I mean, it came pretty late for me when I was just about to leave, but one thing that I took advantage of, and I think Samuel and I did, was the Career Ready Scholar Program that COD offers. Did not only prepare you to create a great resume for your future job that you'll be applying for, they also connect you with people in your career field that will be instrumental if you're looking for a job. They provide you, they can be references for you. And the icing on the cake, they provided a whole suit for an interview, and they also give you access to VMOC, so a service that will teach you how to prep for interviews, teach you how to create great responses for certain questions, like, you know, questions that nobody wants to answer, like, what is your biggest weakness? Was one thing that you're terrified of doing. So it was really great to have that experience, especially when I was leaving. And that's one thing I still rely on today, to have that resume. Like, all of everything that I've done now has been built off of that draft copy of that resume that I did, following the exact points that were lined out throughout that program. And I still keep in touch with the people that I had my experience with there. So the people who I met at the end of the program, where I did the interview with and everything. So that's a skill that I'm still using very much today.
Very nice, very nice. And I think that's important to hear. And I also think it's important for other students and staff as well, so they can support students, to know that those types of programs exist, especially that they give you a suit. I mean, I think that's a nice step. Okay, so I do have another question. So feel free to raise your hand if you would like to answer it. Well, actually, let's consider this for a second. in today's modern era, we do have to change a little bit with the times. Things have changed. The way that we talk to people and the way that we interact with people has changed. I think social media has changed a little bit. Electronic communication has changed a little bit. And I think that there's a lot of good starting points when it comes to reaching out to others, email, DM, PM, IM, all those messagings. But I think it's important to know from this generation and moving forward, I think this is a good question. What advice would you give current and future students about networking and building professional relationships?
I think I can take this one. So I think that the most important thing to remember when networking is that everyone is human and everyone has a story and everyone has been at the place that you are when you're trying to network and you see all of these really impressive people in front of you. And it's really important to think about how they were once in your shoes to make them more approachable and more human so that it's easier to connect with people who you think are scary. So.
Go ahead.
So I'd love to add on to that. And I think the biggest thing with networking is you don't know what you don't know. Especially, I started out in high school and I had to ask, Maureen for advice. And you keep asking more people for advice. And I think the biggest thing is that once you kind of understand the picture, what is actually out there and how deep, a wide variety of fields. I thought accounting was just very basic. It's like 1 and 1, 1, very number crunchy, but it's so dynamic and there's so many ways that you can go within that field. And I would assume the same for a variety of professions and careers. So the best part about networking is knowing what's out there. And once you kind of figure that out, you can kind of fulfill your purpose and achieve your goals based on what you're given and really make a big impact within the community and for the world in its entirety.
Perfect. Anybody else? Okay, let's move on to our next question. I think as Walter mentioned earlier, I was absolutely terrified of doing any type of STEM classes when I was still a criminal justice major. And when I mean terrified, I pushed all those classes towards the end of that criminal justice degree. And then when I took those classes, I went in with a tear in my eye and I was hoping for the best. But I ended up becoming really good or forming really good relationships with the professors in those fields. And as time has gone on, it's been about 7 years since I left College of DuPage. I still have really close relationships with many of those professors, but 2 in particular. And they're really good mentors and they give good advice to me still, even at the levels that I'm currently at. So, back to you. Was there a key mentor or resource that helped you succeed while you're at College of DuPage or where you're currently at in your life? Rima, go ahead.
For me, my journey with COD was a really interesting one because I was in the arts and theater, and then I also wanted to pursue business and marketing. So I dabbled within the 2 fields in this college. And so I do have 2 mentors who are here today. Connie, Kennedy Howard, of course, who was my theater professor and director for many productions, and Mary Carlson, my marketing professor, who we still connect with each other to today. And it's so interesting. This college is so wonderful with the amount of professors and their experiences that it's an endless supply that they provide to their students. And you really do get the best from your professors. And so I think I can speak for all of us, we're so lucky to have gone to this school and to have had the professors that we did.
Perfect. Anybody else? Brian, go ahead.
Thanks. Joe, Mr. Ranke here was a really big inspiration for me. When I first came to COD, my first steps through the doors, I was going to study criminal justice. But I never did well in school, and I heard how much writing and papers were associated with that. So that kind of scared me. I always kind of had a little interest in automotive cars, so I was like, let me see what that could bring to the table. And I'll never forget, my first class was in suspensions with Joe. He gave me this lecture about all the different aspects of how you could learn about the automotive industry. And I saw his journey, and he kind of gave me some insight on that. And that kind of sparked me. I all of a sudden wanted to do well in school. I was passionate about what I was learning. And it just propelled me forward into a industry that is so vast that I never would have known if I never took that jump and if I never met Joe. So he's my inspiration, or the one that inspired me. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay. Let's move on to another question. You're here. You're 5 under 5. So that's a big deal, right? So the question is, now that you're here and you've accomplished a lot, I know that each and every one of you still has a way to go in your own journey, that you have goals that you have set on, right? So how do you continue to grow from here? What's your next step? What's your next level look like? Go ahead.
So I think the big thing is the reason that I wanted to join Deloitte, where I'm currently at, is that there's a wide variety of opportunities that the firm will allow me to pursue. And I was very big into trying to maximize your opportunities, give yourself a lot of exposure in terms of that. So the best way that I kind of keep myself growing is being around people who are also sharing that same mission. Because, you know, by talking with them and people who are in a similar career path, I get a lot of exposure to a lot of the subjects and topics that I really want to pursue, stuff that I might be interested in, and even staying connected with the community here and bouncing ideas off of Maureen and giving a lot of feedback in terms of how, you know, College of DuPage can improve and help the next generation of students achieve very big dreams.
Perfect. Go ahead, Princess.
So my next step is pretty interesting and very, like, it's surprising to me, because when I was at COD, I was like, I've got to go. I need to hurry and be done and move on to the next thing. And who would have thought that I would be back here? So it's sort of like a COD kidnapped me kind of situation. But I took a job at COD, so like there's a hotel on campus. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. There is one. So I took a job here as a front desk and housekeeping assistant at COD, and at that time I had moved on to DePaul University to complete my BA in journalism. And it was supposed to be a job that was just, you know, I'm gonna do it for the 2 years and then be done and move on. And COD said, maybe not. So, so in this building, in the culinary and hospitality building, I started there, and then now my next step is looking like I'm not going to be leaving soon. So like I said, a kidnapping situation, but it's exciting, and I think that's one thing about COD. Maybe it's just the hospitality center, but the people here are warm, they're welcoming, they're amazing. And once you get a lot of that, you don't want to let it go anytime soon. So my next step is looking like I'm going to be staying here much, much longer. And it's crazy because it's a totally different field from journalism. It's hospitality. So staying here and then continuing on with the hotel manager, Dylan, and Professor Leone in the hospitality program is what my next step is looking at as the hotel operations supervisor. So I'm excited to, really, really excited to stay here and continue my journey at COD, yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, this next question, I would like each and every one of you to answer. So we'll start from Rima, and we'll work our way down. Okay, I want you to really consider this question. And consider it from the mind of a student that's currently here at College of DuPage, okay? What advice do you have for students that are getting ready to take the next step of their journey, leaving College of DuPage and stepping foot into the real world, whether it's into the workforce or whether it's into a larger university or another workforce area or academic center? What advice do you have to them?
I would say seize every opportunity that COD has to offer, because there are so many resources here that you don't find anywhere else. And it does really, it's true, it does prepare you for the real world. So if you seize those opportunities, you're going to be just fine.
Just in case I don't get another chance to talk, I have one last thing to say. Those three people over there, my beautiful fiance, my mother, and my father, they are another huge inspiration of mine. They're my biggest supporters, my biggest pushers, especially my little fiance there, always pushing me. Yeah, I really wouldn't be here without her. But some advice for people that may be graduating or coming into my shoes is, don't be afraid to change your goals. You may have your mind set on something and life is going to throw something different at you. Change them, overcome, adapt, and exceed. And you'll accomplish a lot. That's the best thing I got to offer.
I totally agree with Brian here. Like, don't be afraid to do it. There's so much fear and uncertainty that can come with leaving one thing and going into something you've never experienced, something you've probably been excited about. Like, I want to do this after I graduate. And it can be exciting, but it can also be filled with a lot of intimidation and a lot of fear. And motivation is temporary, so on top of motivation, what you want is a bit of intentionality, that even if you're in a situation that's not exactly what you imagined or a position that you didn't think you'll be in, never overlook it. Make sure that you're intentional, that in whatever position you're in, you're going to do the best you can and give your best. And what my mom always say is, aim for the moon, and when you're falling, you always land among the stars. So be intentional about everything you do, whatever situation you're in, make the best of it, give it your best, and life will happen. Life will happen. There's not much you can do about life, but life will happen, and you'll be great, I'm sure. Yeah.
I would say my biggest advice is to find your support system and find it as quick as you can, because I wouldn't be where I'm at without my support system motivating me and giving me the resilience to continue when I feel like things are tough. So, yeah.
I think the biggest aspect, irrespective of where you decide to take that next step, is to find your purpose. You know, what gets you up in the morning, what makes you want to do that work? And once you kind of channel that, surround yourself with people who also want that, because that's the best place for you to learn and grow. And like I said, it's the ends are amazing. I mean, you could dream big and you can achieve those goals. I mean, each one of us today has taken that step to make that next and that final and even continuing our careers. And I think by having that purpose, it really helps and it really drives you to make that next best step.
Great. I think that is all great advice. And I think your words are going to be profound as students move forward in their careers. Next, we'd like to go ahead and open up the floor to the audience. We would like the audience to be able to ask questions to our panelists here. So let's go ahead and open that up. Yep. Please raise your hand and we will bring the mic over to you.
I'd love for Rima to tell us a day in the life of a marketing and events coordinator. How does that look?
Sure. Where do I start? So, a day in the life, I currently, I'm planning a fundraising gala for, can I say, the Chicago Public Library Foundation, which raises money for all of the Chicago libraries in the city. And so I also, on top of that, do the marketing for the McAninch Arts Center. So I do dabble in both, trying to balance both at the same time. So it's a lot of prioritizing when the time is right. So if in the morning I have to focus more on the gala, then I would do that and then spend my afternoon prioritizing the MAC or vice versa. We do a lot of team meetings together, internally and externally, which is great to have that constant communication. So I know I'm not really giving you a clear answer, but when it is the day of the event, for example, which is coming up soon, that day is crazy. I'm doing last minute printing. I'm doing last minute making sure all this I deal with the guest list. So I make sure all of the people are seated at the correct spot, and you know, my team handles the vendors and the caterer and all of that kind of fun stuff. But it's a wild journey, and it's crazy, and that's why I love it. Thank you.
Perfect. We have another question from an audience member here.
Hello. I'm wondering what you all are looking forward to. We talked about next steps, but maybe there's something specific that you're looking forward to in the next year, 2 years, 3 years.
I guess I'll start with that one. I definitely plan to kind of see myself at Ally for a while. I really enjoy the atmosphere and the culture at that company. It's very inclusive. There's a lot of opportunity, but I do feel an itch to teach. I would love, yeah, as crazy as it sounds, I feel an itch to teach. Whether it be high school students or college students back at DuPage. I would love to teach automotive. Maybe it's an insurance sector or simple engines building or basic engines. It would be amazing to come back. So maybe I'll scratch it sometime.
Yeah, and just the spirit of just giving back, be more involved with COD alumni, because I mean, Julie was saying, you know, you just have to take one course and you're an alumni. I'm like, I didn't know that. I took a lot more. I could have done one and left, you know. But so just to be more involved, because with Adrian here, you see just how instrumental your presence is, and you being able to give back to people who really need it, because to have students have someone that they can look up to and someone who's available when you're distressed about something, when you need a question answered, or you're available for certain events that students are able to benefit from. So just to be more involved with COD alumni, and yeah, looking forward to that.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, we do have another question from another audience member.
Thank you. So I heard you guys talking about just seizing the actual opportunities that come your way. Now, can you guys kind of give us a little more insight? You know, sometimes there's a time where, yes, you take that, you know, opportunity, but what happens when you take that risk and you don't know if you're able to accomplish that risk? You feel that, hey, I might not be able to do this. What's some insight that you could give to people that could kind of show how you could get over that, get over adversity?
I can take that one. Okay. So, yeah, when I came to COD, I got an STEM scholarship when I got here, and I wasn't picked for it the first time around. I got a letter in the mail saying that I wasn't getting any money, and there were better people in the pool and stuff like that. In so many words.
I don't believe that.
From my perspective, I guess. But I got the scholarship, and it was a big deal to me, but I remember that first semester, I actually failed Physics 1. And so that was like really hard, and that's a big failure that I hold close to my heart, because without the support system of that scholarship, I wouldn't have had the resilience to continue, and I really had to change my perspective, like when I got to COD. And so I think that, yeah, like there are failures that happen, but they're really important in order to really gear towards success. Yeah.
Thank you. Great answer. Thank you. It looks like we do have another question.
Good morning, everyone. What is something that you would tell your younger self when you first started here? If you could give your younger self any advice with all the things you know now, what would that be?
I would say, I would say continue to be patient, because things do come when the time is right. And again, to continue to take the classes you do want to take at COD, because COD is the place to take, what classes you do want until you grow up and you continue and further your education. So I got to take a lot of more theater classes than I anticipated, which was fantastic. I got to do all these things. So I would say, just be patient, ride it out, and you're gonna be, when you do grow up, that's when adult life, really kicks in. So just have fun is what I would say.
Very nice. Great advice. Does anybody else want to tackle that question? Okay. We do have one more question from our audience here.
I have a message or a question for Kaela, and it's the question that all graduate students hate, but you got another 2 or 3 years, so you might as well get used to answering this. In 2 minutes or less to an audience of laypersons, can you describe your research topic?
Okay, yes. So I work in accelerator science, and so we accelerate particle beams to fractions of the speed of light in order to perform experiments to probe at universal questions. But I work on the actual accelerators, so I work in a superconducting RF group, and we work on the accelerating cavities that actually speed up these particles. And so we cool down these cavities to 4 degrees Kelvin, or minus 452 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm part of the group that tests these performance. So, yeah.
That is seriously amazing. You work at Star Labs, was that correct?
Huh?
You work at Star Labs, where
No.
the Flash was born? Okay. We do have one last question from our audience member, so let's go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Michelle. I would like to say first, congratulations to all of you. I am very proud to be here to see you accept your 5 Under 5 award. My question to you is, I know as a current student, College of DuPage is always pushing mental health. What are you guys doing for self-care?
I think the best way to, mentally recharge and, be able to make that next initiative is to speak up, to have that group of people that you can surround yourself with that, can empathize and understand, the stresses that you go through. Every one of us had to go through the College of DuPage, and it wasn't no easy feat, There's a lot of effort that you'd have to put in to walk across that stage and accept that, diploma. So my best piece of advice is, if you keep those conversations open, you will be able to reflect and get an outside opinion on, ways that they could help you. And having that, network of people is super important in your life.
Also, it's really important to have that support system. like it was mentioned earlier, I literally can't get up and do what I do without my support system at home and with my work family. So it's really important to make sure you put yourself first when it's needed, but also to rely on those who, are there for you.
And then one thing I'll say is just be able to receive help, allow people to help you, and let people help you. And because at a community college like this, you have you have a lot of resources here. It may not be directly maybe in COD counseling, or it may not be with like a mental health club that you're a part of, but your professors, they want to ease your workload. They want to answer your questions. Your family wants to talk to you, so they want to be able to help. A lot of people are willing to give help, and sometimes we get ahead of ourselves and we get in our head and we, put on the I can do it and I must complete it myself. But it's okay to receive help, and we should always be willing to let people help us and just take that help. Yeah.
I think that's a great statement. You have to be open in order to receive help. And I think that's important. And I think as we close today's event, I wanted to also offer a final piece of advice, something that I wish I was told to myself during my career, or during my journey, I should say. Now, this may be something that you five are already aware of, but if not, I'll be happy to be the one to tell you this, as I wish somebody told me this. This also goes towards students, future students, students that are in the middle of their journey, and students that are getting ready to take the next step in their journey. Life is more than just a journey. It's a marathon. Similarly, success isn't a smooth and linear path. It's more like a roller coaster, full of exciting highs and challenging lows, and moments that can either thrill you or scare you. If there's one piece of advice I wish I'd received early on, it's this: stop. Stop comparing yourself to others. We're all running in our own races with different starting points and different finishing lines. Your path is uniquely yours, just as their path is uniquely theirs. In today's world, it is easy to feel discouraged with what you see on social media or elsewhere. But always remember, you are on your own journey. Stay focused, trust your pace, and remain committed to yourself. You'll reach exactly where you're meant to be. That will be the end of our event, and I'm going to pass the mic over to Walter.
Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate it. And one last great round of applause here before we go down for our champagne toast. Thank you very much for being here. We'll see you upstairs.